I have two new documents that I'm about to release. The first one is called 7 Steps for Regaining Control of Texas Elections. Okay. So the first one is to amend Texas Election Code Chapter 128. That's the one that makes Keith Ingram an all-powerful elections genie. We need to amend that thing and tell him you can't change election codes. You can't authorize the violation of election codes. If you're authorizing counties on what to do with unforeseen circumstances, you can only advise them on how to adhere to Texas election codes. You cannot advise them to or how to violate the law. You have to codify executive level responsibilities. You have to codify county level responsibilities. Seems like that would be the same thing, but it's not. You've got to add or enhance due penalties to new and existing election codes. Class C misdemeanors, Class B misdemeanors. Here's the weird part, okay? In Texas, if somebody's like hitting you and slapping you, and you hit them back or you slap them back, whether it's self-defense or just to make them stop or whatever, you could be charged with a Class A misdemeanor, right? Because you're not supposed to be fighting, right? Well, if you are an election judge and you throw a box of ballots off the side of the bridge and it falls into the Trinity, that's just a Class B misdemeanor. That's just a ticket. Currently, if you failed to deliver the election records to the general custodian of election records as a judge, it's just a Class B misdemeanor. It's just a ticket. But if someone's slapping you and you slap them back, your bitch ass is probably going to go to jail. And the state may press charges. Okay? There's a discrepancy there, you know? I'm not saying that you should lower the penalty for fighting. No, you shouldn't be fighting. I mean, it's don't fight. However, destruction of election records or failure to deliver them should be more than a ticketable offense. Okay, due penalty. What does due penalty mean to you, Briscoe Kane? Establish and codify enforcement mechanisms. It's nobody's job right now to enforce election codes. It's nobody's job. You get tossed around in a circle. Reconcile contradictory Texas election codes with the state constitution. I'll give an example. Texas Election Code 43.007 needs to go. It's contradictory to all of Chapter 66 in the Texas Election Code, which outlines that we are supposed to be voting in precinct and that our totals are supposed to be reported by precinct. That's for auditability reasons, and it's practical. It makes sense. Okay, Texas Election Code 43.007 says, don't worry about any of that. Just go wherever your heart will take you and vote there. It's fine. You are now hereby authorized to do whatever the fuck you want. That's part of the fact that's part of why we're not able to audit our own elections. And then reconcile election codes with Texas Constitution. That reconcile all the election codes. The one right above this was reconcile contradictory election codes, like 43.007 and all of Chapter 66. Chapter 66 was previously established. 43.007 came after Chapter 66, even though it seems like, well, it's a lower number, so maybe it came first. No, it's not really how stuff like that happens. Not all the time. And the last one is to reconcile election codes, all of them, with the Texas Constitution and the U.S. Constitution and federal law. Okay. And then the other document is just 7 questions for new VDRs to ask their county registrars. VDRs are voter deputy registrars, so the county registrar can deputize you to go and register other voters, new voters. So you're going to want to know what's going on there. So I've suggested you review 2 codes, Texas Election Code 13.001 and .002. That's eligibility for registration and application for registration, because that's going to be the duty of the new VDRs. So the questions that I recommend that they ask about are how to register law enforcement officers, because there's a list of suspicious voters that's been submitted to the county commissioner's court, and we've all been told that they're not suspicious. They are all law enforcement officers who don't want their residential addresses disclosed. And say, okay, then why are they all over the place? Why isn't there like, just redact it. Just be like, they're law enforcement officers, so we redact it, okay? Or have them all register in the same location, like the police station. Instead of like Glenn Whitley's office and like all these random places across the county. Doesn't make sense. So ask about that. Because, I mean, they're all on the suspicious voters list. And we don't have a way to see that they're actually law enforcement officers, I guess, unless we get arrested. Which is not fun. Provisional voting. Ask about that. There's a few reasons why you might be provisional voting. You don't have your ID. You're improperly registered. You're not registered. Or you requested a mail-in ballot and then you don't want to use the mail-in ballot. For whatever reason. Limited voting. This one is real special. This is where you're registered in a new portion of your county or your state, but it's within the 30 days of required time that needs to pass before you can actually vote in a local election. But you can still vote in the statewide races, right? So they have to make a special ballot for you that doesn't have any of the local stuff on it, but only has the statewide races on it. Hyder doesn't like limited voting for some reason. So let's find a way to keep it. Registration updates from within the county. Ask how those are updated and if the previous entries are deleted, because they need to be deleted. Registration updates from outside of the county. How are we reconciling with the other county and making sure that that county deletes the previous entry? Deletes it, not just is like, oh, we made a note in there that this is not a good entry anymore. Take the entry out. And how are we making sure that that's happening? Voter registrations for new Texas residents. How do we know that the previous state deleted that entry? We don't want people who are coming and voting in Texas for Trump also somehow voting for Biden in California. Okay? We sure don't want California sending ballots to new Texas residents who are trying to be patriots, but they're being solicited to betray their country from their previous state of California. We've got examples of that, okay? And we'll go over those. That'll be in the Dallas County report. Okay, and and addresses listed with the USPS database. Does the county registrar use the USPS database to verify any lawful addresses as being actually residential or a business? You know, is USPS database being used at all? Because we do know that it's being used to solicit voters who moved from California to Texas. California is using the USPS database and finding them and sending them solicitations to vote in California, though California is well aware that they now live in Texas. Weird things happening. Weird. So just trying to figure stuff like that out. So if you're going to become a voter deputy registrar, ask these questions to your county registrar during the training. Okay, about to release these. Email subs are going to get it first. I may put it up on Telegram. I don't know. I keep forgetting. I just keep forgetting. But thank you very much. Bye.